You know, I've been doing this YouTube thing for almost 5 years now, and if there's one product that has never failed to excite me when it releases, it's Sony's WH-1000 series headphones, because I know they're going to be great. I've reviewed both the XM3s and the XM4s extensively on this channel over the years, and whenever someone would ask me for like a no-nonsense headphones recommendation, these were almost always at the top of my list. So this is the new WH-1000 XM5 headphones from Sony that I've been using for about a month, and spoiler alert, they are unsurprisingly fantastic. They've improved a bunch in a few key areas, which we'll get into, but they've also taken a step back in a couple of areas too, so you'll definitely want to watch the end of this one before you decide to go out and pick these up. Let's start with the looks, because that is the most obvious change from last year's XM4s to these. They've got a new design that I personally love. Now, there's a tendency in product design lately to kind of lean more heavily into sharp edges, and that's kind of what they've done with the outside panels of these headphones, and I think it looks really crisp. They've also redesigned the headband to be a little bit thinner, and I like how these rounded circular adjustment poles kind of arc in and out of the headband too. Everything still feels very nice and robust. There's no creaking or squeaking going on even when I stress the headband. But I can't help but feel just a little bit let down though, because the headphones no longer fold in half to fit in their case with this new design. Instead, they just kind of flatten out. Now that means the case is a little bit thinner this year, but it's also a lot taller too, so I'd argue that this redesign is not much of an upgrade in the way of portability, if at all. The other design modification from the XM4s to these is that the ear cups in the XM5s are just a little bit wider, which leads us to comfort. If you have bigger ears, like mine, the XM5s are definitely going to be more comfortable for you around the ears. The ear pads are nice and plush, and at no point were my ears ever uncomfortable. However, I did find that the new headband is a little bit less comfortable than the ones on previous versions. The redesigned headband is thinner, so there's less surface area for that weight of the headphones to spread across your head. I could easily still wear these for a few hours at a time, but I did notice just a little bit of a hot spot on top of my head every now and again where I had to just readjust them to make them comfortable again. The controls for the XM5s are identical to the ones on the XM4s, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. There's the power button and noise canceling mode button on the left-hand side, and then the touch panel on the right ear cup for turning up or turning down the volume, switching tracks, etc. I've never really been in love with touch controls on headphones, but I get that most people don't really care, and it does make the design a little bit cleaner overall, so whatever, I'm fine with it. The other thing that's not quite identical but is pretty close is the battery life. Sony is claiming 40 hours of battery with the noise canceling turned off compared to the XM4's 38, and 30 hours for them both with the ANC turned on. Now, I can't say that I've sat here and just listened to my headphones for that long in one sitting to test that out, but what I can tell you is that I can easily get a week or two out of these things with 2 or 3 hours of usage a day, which is more than enough for me. When they do need to be charged up, the XM5s have the same USB-C port, but quicker charging. 3 minutes of charging is supposed to give you 3 hours of playback time, which is awesome. Speaking of batteries, before I talk about the sound quality, the microphone quality, the noise canceling, and all that good stuff, I first want to take a quick minute to thank the sponsor of this video, EcoFlow. This is the EcoFlow River Mini, a portable power station that you can take wherever you go. It has AC outlets capable of outputting 300 watts of power, 3 USB-A ports, a USB-C port with 100 watts of power, and if you have the River Mini wireless version, it also comes with a wireless phone charger on the top. Whenever you plug something in, the River Mini will tell you exactly how much power you're drawing and how long it will take to fully discharge the battery by using that amount of power. You could charge your phone and your laptop several times over with one of these guys, and the best part is that you can fully recharge the River Mini's battery in an hour and a half with the included AC adapter, or you could go green and pick up one of their solar panels to recharge the battery in 3 to 6 hours. This thing is amazing to have around if you're kind of an outdoors type person, or if you want to have a backup battery lying around in case of a power outage. EcoFlow is running a huge Prime Day sale right now where you can get up to 48% off some things, and if you're interested in having power at hand with some of EcoFlow's products, I'll leave links for you in the description below. All right, with all the design related stuff out of the way, let's get to the juicy stuff, starting with the sound quality. First, let me preface this by saying that I am not an audiophile. I have reviewed many pairs of headphones on this channel, but when it comes to sound, I prefer to consider myself a regular consumer like many of you. With that said, I think the XM5s sound great. I'm used to listening to my fairly neutral sounding DT770 Pros in my studio for editing, and compared to those, the XM5s definitely sound much punchier, particularly in the low end. Of course, that also means if you're after a more neutral sound, that over-exaggerated bass is gonna disappoint you a little. There's plenty of clarities in the mids and highs though, and the vocals of almost every song I listen to come through nice and crisp. That bass can muddy the sound a little bit in EDM and hip-hop songs, but chances are if you're a fan of that kind of music, you'll enjoy the extra thump in the low end anyway. I know I do. If you're wondering how they compare to the XM4s, that's kind of hard for me to say. I think they might sound maybe like a hair better, but again, I'm not an audiophile, and I think it would take an audiophile to really pick out the sound differences between the two. They both sound great. The biggest differences between the XM5s and the XM4s are gonna be in the design and the microphone related stuff like the call quality and the noise cancellation. Sony has definitely improved the microphone quality on the XM5s by a good margin, which is great because the XM4's microphone wasn't the best, and then the XM3's microphone was kind of just terrible. It's still not the best I've heard, but for phone calls, this will be just fine. The other thing the microphones are used for is the noise canceling and ambient sound features of the XM5s, both of which have been noticeably improved when comparing them to the XM4s and the XM3s. I have taken those headphones everywhere, on airplanes and boats, in cars, and I've even sat in front of my surround sound home theater setup and played various sounds to try and determine the strengths and the weaknesses of them. To my ear, the XM5s definitely do cancel out sound a little bit better than both the previous versions. It's most noticeable in sounds that are towards the higher end of the spectrum, I think. Like, for example, it completely blocks out the sound of my mini split fan, but it also seems to be a little bit better at blocking noises like people talking and sounds from my TV. To make sure I wasn't cuckoo crazy, I went over to have a look at the much more scientific tests done by sound guys, and sure enough, the XM5's noise cancellation definitely outdoes the XM4's at just about every frequency. By hitting the ambient sound button, the microphones will take in sound from all around you and then project it into your ears, and it does pretty well with it. I mean, it's a little bit better than the XM4s for sure, but it still doesn't sound completely natural yet. You'll be able to hear everything around you just fine, but it's not clear enough to make you forget that you're still wearing closed back headphones. So overall, the XM5s are a definite improvement in most areas, and if you're looking for a great pair of headphones with active noise cancellation, these are about as good as you're gonna get. But it will cost you. They're $50 more this year, starting at $400 US, and given the fact that the XM4s are probably gonna go on sale real soon if they're not already, I would definitely still take those into consideration. They're still a fantastic pair of headphones. Anyway, hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day.